Hi everyone, I'm Swapnil and welcome back to my channel Swapnil's Analysis. Today we are going to discuss a very important theory of post 1950 era, that is post colonial theory. So, to understand the post colonial theory, we will first have to decode the word itself, that is the post and the colonial. Post means after, and the colonial means after the colonization. So, as now we all are aware what is colonization, what is post colonization, and what is decolonization. Colonization is the process where the European countries, mostly Great Britain, they explored through the earth and colonized the native people. Why they colonized the native people? First, for the market to sell their product. Second, for the raw material for the industries. So because of industrialization and because of need to sell their product, they required new places, new countries to sell their product. And when they came to know about that these new places or new countries or new islands, they have abundance of raw materials that can be used to create the product, they started to taking control over those places. That is called colonize. Mean they formed as a colony, therefore they are called as colonies. And the person who subjugates another country is called as a colonizer. So Great Britain or the British people, they become the colonizers, and the native, or they referred to the native people as a subject, they become the colonized. Colonizer means a person who colonizes someone, and the colonized means the person who has been subjugated, who has been taken control of by the other people. So initially this was an ideology, because see, the seeds of the colonization were sown into the industrialization. They wanted new colonies, they wanted new markets to sell their products. So, and when they come to know about, okay, these new places or new islands or new countries, they have abundance of raw materials that could be used for the creation of the product. And moreover, they also forced these native people to take the crop of their own choice. For instance, indigo. Therefore, there is a very huge movement or protest that had taken place, that is called indigo movement in here in India. So the Great Britain had an ideology, means mostly in 19th century, because of industrialization, because of development of science, and because of education. They thought that they are the superior race, and they all believe that okay, we are white, we are educated, we are modern, and therefore we have rights over these native people, which they consider them as primitive, savage. And when questioned about this colonization, they said that we are actually making them human. Why? Because these people, they are backward, they do not know how to live as a human being, and therefore here a racial and cultural and educational and economic superiority was there, and therefore they thought that it is our birthright to control these people. Why? First, because these people are primitive. Second, they are savage. They do not know how to live. And they, although are humans, but they do not behave like a humans, means they are indirectly implying towards that these people, although they just look like us, but they are animals because of their culture, because of their behavior, and because of most important thing here is backwardness. That is educational backwardness, that is economical backwardness. So they justified. And which were these two the continents? First Africa and second the Asia. So Asia here, mostly the India, they felt that Indian people, they are backward people. They believe in superstitions, they believe in black magic, and therefore they ruled India over around 200 years. And India was the largest colony of Great Britain, or later on that Great Britain is come to known as British Empire. So and other European nations, they had colonized Africa and some of the part of South America as well. So here the point is that the overall post-colonial literature. So what is post-colonial literature? So post-colonial literature is a literature written by the people who born after the independence and who writes about the impact of colonization on the native people's culture, native people's thinking, native people's language. Because see, here in India, because we are, we are a post-colonial country, but there is no such a impact of Britain in 2020 on, be it on our culture, be it on our language. Here, because we are not influenced by the British people anymore, but the people, means the generation of writers after, who were born after independence, that is of 1947, Indian independence here I am talking about. So these people, they had something in their back of the mind, that influence of British people. They had attraction of English language. They wanted to study in Oxford or Cambridge universities. Therefore, if you see or observe that initially Indian fiction is used to know as Indians writing in English. Who are these Indians writing in English? These people, mean there is a criteria. That what is the criteria? That you must born in India, thereafter you must study in Oxford or Cambridge University, and then you write, then you settle there in England, and then you write about India. That is called Indians writing in English. Indians who have studied in Oxford or Cambridge University and have settled in England and writing about India. Therefore, that is called as Indians writing in English. If you minutely observe or compare the writings between, let us say, Shashi Deshpande or Manju Kapoor, or that to Amitav Ghosh and Salman Rushdie, what you will find the difference. Because these two writers, means for instance the earlier writers that I have mentioned, Shashi Deshpande and Manju Kapoor, they live in India, so they have a first-hand experience of Indian society and in Indian culture and Indian way of thinking. On the other hand, Amitav Ghosh and Salman Rushdie, they live in UK and USA, and then they write about India. So there is a distinction. So here post-colonial literature focuses upon the impact of colonization on the culture of native people, language of the native people, thinking of the native people, and in a way politics of the native people. So, and this is reflected, they search for their own identity. Means what is post-colonial literature focuses upon? It focuses upon the identity of a person. Who am I? Am I a native person? Am I, for instance, am I an England? Am I an Indian? Or because of my education, because of my thinking, am I a British person? Because by thinking, by my language, by my leaning, I just behave like an British person. I do not behave like a native Indian whose thinking probably may be different. So here, post-colonial literature focuses upon the impact of colonization on the native people. And we are not saying here that colonization was a bad thing to happen, because if you study colonization from the point of view or the perspective of India, so many things have changed because of colonization. See, Dalits, they got their rights. Women, they also got their rights of education, of voting. So many things have changed. Therefore, Kamala Das very famously says in her poems that I express myself in English language. I know 3 languages, but I express myself in English language. Why? Because I feel that English language is very closer to me, very dear to me. And the most important fact about what has happened in 2020, that the people of 1960s, 70s or till 80s, they considered English as a foreign language, as a language of the British, as a language of the colonizers. So they in a way hated English language. But the today's generation of India, they do not consider English as a foreign language. So English has become a part of Indian culture, and they consider English as their own language, as a kind of their second mother tongue. There is a second language, and they all love, they do not have that much of hatred which the generation of 1960s and 70s had, because they had suffered the colonization of British people. Okay, now how this study of the colonization came into existence? Because see, the white people, they believe in a white supremacy, in their superiority of race over other, means be it black or Asian. So, and they consider it as their natural right, that we have a natural right to control over or to teach these people. But as Gauri Vishwanathan has said in her essay, that Britishers, they did not use religion to spread the colonization. They kept a distance from religion. They neither denied nor support the missionaries who wanted to spread the Christianity in India. Rather, what they did, they introduced English literature to teach the native people morality. Because what does literature does? Literature teaches morality. Simultaneously, religion also teach us the difference between good and evil. So same way, they use literature to teach native people a morality, a difference between right and wrong, that we must not forget. Okay, now the most important thing, there are 2 things that has happened here. Just a minute. When these newly independent people started writing about or expressing themselves, their literature is referred as third world literature, which is a derogatory term. I do not want to use it henceforth. But Alfred Savy, a French demographer, he first used this term, that is third world studies, because the Europeans is the first world, the communist nations they are the second world, and the countries which differ from the first world and the second world, they are called as the third world countries, or the newly independent countries, that is called as third world countries. But Frantz Fanon's The Black Skin and White Mask, published in 1952, and Chinua Achebe's novel Things Fall Apart of 1958 completely changed the thinking about the erstwhile colonized people. Because in Things Fall Apart, Chinua Achebe has shocked the world that how native culture was beautiful, how they used to live without the arrival of the white people. And because of their arrival, things get separated. Therefore, Things Fall Apart. It is a very iconic novel. I would highly recommend you to read it, The Things Fall Apart, if you have not read it yet. So, the most important thing happened here is of Edward Said's Orientalism of 1978. It was published in 1978, and where he emphasizes on the fact that how the occult people, that is the European white people, they studied the Oriental people, means Asian people, and how they subjugated these people. And that was the beginning of the post-colonial studies. And later on, it was the very famous Will Ashcroft and others book, The Empire Writes Back of 1989, where they have very thoroughly discussed about the literature about of the post-colonial world. Means here, what is the colonial literature? If any Indian writer, if he is writing after 2000, that also can be termed as the colonial literature, but you would not get to see the impact or the influence of colonization on his writings. A person who is writing after post 2000, means for instance, if you read the Chetan Bhagat's novel, there is no such an impact of colonization. Why? Because all those changes the Indian society now have accepted. Therefore, there were two ways of thinking at the dawn of the post-colonial studies, where Said and Gayatri Spivak, they believe that colonization affects only a certain generation, or the others like Homi K. Bhabha, they believe that it permanently affects the native culture. Both were right, because the Indian thinking and Indian old way of life now have changed. People have accepted so many new things. That is the change of colonization. Therefore, we speak English language, we eat pizza, we watch Hollywood movies, and we do not hate British people. That is the change which the generation of 1960s or 70s may not have accepted pizza, because they would have considered pizza as a thing of the white man or the British man. So here there are so many aspects of colonization. Means for instance, later on, the people, mostly writers, they started thinking about the decolonization, that going back to our native culture, because Britishers, they have maligned our native culture. But there are so many views, so many things about colonization, and the literature mostly written by African and Asian writers after 1950 to 2000 could be termed as the post-colonial literature, where we get to see the influence of colonization on their writing. But the literature after 2000, the literature written after 2000, we do not see that much of influence of the colonization or the white people, because the writers, the generation who born after 1980, they have their own understanding, they have no memories of colonization, and therefore the writers who had born after 1947 or before 1947, means for instance in 1940 or in 1940, they knew that they could easily see the influence of colonization on the society. Therefore they wrote from that point of view, and how that has affected the native culture, native life, native language, that we study in the post-colonial literature. How that has changed, how that literature has changed because of colonization, how these people, they are writing in English rather than in their native language, that is also we study. So post-colonialism is a very vast term. There are so many aspects, so many perspectives regarding this term, but Homi K. Bhabha's The Location of Culture, published in 1949, you must read, and Gayatri Spivak's Can the Subaltern Speak, where she is giving voice to the women of these post-colonial societies, where women, they are not free to express themselves. So she is speaking about that. Means for instance, if you read the poem of Dharkars, that is of Parda, that could be termed as Can the Subaltern Speak. So Can the Subaltern Speak, essay of Gayatri Spivak, Homi K. Bhabha's The Location of Culture, and Edward Said's book Orientalism, and The Empire Writes Back. These are the four iconic books about to understanding the post-colonial studies. And also Black Skin White Mask of Frantz Fanon and The Wretched of the Earth. It will also enhance your understanding about the post-colonial studies. So what you think about today's lecture, please write in the comment. And if you have liked my presentation, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.